All right, welcome back to the channel. All you YouTubies, come on in, put your feet up. Let's build an airbrush booth today. Okay. Hold the phone. I know that's why most of you tuned in is, why did you use MDF? Let's talk about it here for a second. So basically the main materials of your box can be lots of materials you can use. There's even plastic half-inch board like this. It's called HDR something another. It's a polyethylene type board. You could even use that. But choices are either plywood, MDF, particle board, or kind of like a chipboard. It's a OSB. Mainly because I've noticed, especially if you watch other people's videos, that when they have a plywood, paint tends to stick to, especially if it's a rough plywood or a particle board or an OSB. If you're using spray cans, it's going to stick all over there. But MDF is really hard. It still absorbs moisture like crazy. It's more like a paper. The fibers are really small, mixed in with glue, and then compressed down into a board. So, but my choice was MDF because I can put a, I can go to the store and buy stuff to cover it with if I wanted to, like backsplash material. They make backsplash material that's polyethylene. MDF is a good product. Half-inch is about the right size for me. So why do we use this? Because of this. See how that splinters? It's like paper mache. A screw is basically a big giant wedge. Now you could have probably pre-drilled to the shaft size of the screw, not the threads, but the actual shaft, which is actually smaller than the threads. You could drill that out, and that probably would have been in fine. They also make MDF screws that are specifically made for that have really coarse threads on them, and small shanks. And a lot of them, like spaz screws, they actually have a drilling tip at the end with a little slot to kind of gather the dust. But every good cabinet maker you ever see, they'll tell you drill first, and to prevent splitting, as you can see here, even if you're using MDF screws. But if I was going to go just regular butt joints where you're screwing in directly into this piece, an edge, I would go with 3/4 or an inch size and just make a box. But this allows me a little more room to play. This is pretty strong stuff. This is a hardwood 1-inch. If I glue and screw this, I screw down, and then I've got a flat surface to screw against on this side too, and I glue and screw all the way around. It ain't going nowhere. So yeah, it's overkill. Sure. But I'm anal that way. But that's why I chose MDF, half-inch MDF, and 1-inch, just so you know. MDF is a good product. I can paint this, I can cover it in something. And when you're using spray cans, especially if you're using spray cans, the heavy particulates settle on anything that's not smooth. So remember that. That's why I chose half-inch MDF. You could use a 1/4-inch MDF. I mean, and get even cheaper. Plus, this is a 2 by 4 foot by half-inch is only like $8 with tax. So it was cheap. And for the size that I made over there, you only need three sheets. And probably 10 of these 36-inch 1-inch dowels. So material cost was really low. But if you're going to be screwed into the edge, I just wanted to show you what it looks like. So basically we're going to use 1/2 inch by 24 inches by 48 inch MDF. And we're going to use some popular 1x1 by 36s as supports. And we're going to use good screws, and we're going to glue and screw, so it'll be strong. My thought is to be able to use a standard Olaf 24 by 24 mat inside, so I'll just have to slide it in. If I need to replace it, I can do that. I'm going to leave a little room back here. It's going to be one wall here, the back wall, the exhaust tube, but I'm going to leave some space, a couple inches back here, so that I can mount some electronic stuff. All right, so let me get started. I'll kind of keep you updated as I go. Okie dokie, we have our first piece cut, 25 by 22. Alrighty, so we got our first piece in. We use acetone brush and some tie bond all over the top of the bottom support, the little 1x1. And then we screwed about every 5 or 6 inches or so. And then the walls will actually set up against this, screw into this, and it'll be glued and screwed into this, so it won't be going anywhere. We're going to do that all around all the sides, and then we're going to put one down the middle, so it should be a really good structure, good floor, good airbrush floor. All right, let me get the rest of all the other things in and get it finished up. Alrighty, this is the way our underside floor looks. Everything's flush with the sides, so we can put our walls up there. I'm not going to put any screws down the middle, but I did glue it, and I did put some end screws in it from the end. So that's that. And that will be the base. You see I glued and screwed, not too many. Kind of overkill on the screws, but you know me, I like to screw around, so here we go. Now we'll start working on some walls. Alrighty, so we're going to work on the back wall for the airbrush booth. So you got a little F there for front, little B there for back. This is our platform. This is going to be our extraction hole, air cover intake. We're going to use this little piece here. We're going to create a little square for this to fit over top of, and this will be in the middle to kind of hold the filter in place as it extracts air. Be easy to change. Thought about getting some thread inserts, because I'm sure I'll be changing that a lot, but we'll see how that goes. But right now we're going to cut the piece for the back wall. So we're 25 wide, can't be over 21 inches tall. So we're going to do a 25 wide, measure from the bottom and get our height. And then we'll box it in like we did the bottom, the back piece. It'll go to about right here somewhere. And then all the sides and stuff will attach to it. All right, let's get this cut. All right, so we have our back piece to the airbrush booth done. We're going to do the same as we did to the floor. We're going to glue and screw a perimeter around the backboard, and it'll be attached to this, and then everything will come up from there and attach. Then we'll have some more supports later on, but we cut this 18.5 inches, and we got 1.5 inches here, so that'll bring our total height to 20 inches, and by the time we put a lid on, it'll be 20.5 inches. tall. All right, so let me attach all the runners all the way around the edge and get it glued up and be right back. Okay, so we got our back piece in. You can see this is the way it'll go. Probably not the exact position, but this will be in the back. It's glued to the airbrush booth floor, and the sides will be screwed to the back. There'll be a little space back here for a pipe coming out the back. And this should give me plenty of room. It's actually probably too big, but should be good. Probably end up being better right here somewhere by the time it's all said and done. Give me a lot of room. Next thing we'll do is drill a hole, make a place for our air return. All right, so we got our 4-inch takeoff that we're going to apply to the back backboard, back end of the airbrush booth. That'll fit on the back side like this. So we're going to make a hole for that. And this will be over top of that from the front, sandwiched in between the backboard, with this going all the way around, like so. Let me get that hole drilled. Alrighty then, we have our pieces cut for our grill, which will go around this hole, kind of flipped over, of course. This will go on the back side. There's our little hole, 4-inch. All right, let me temporarily attach this as a little box. I'm going to shoot some stuff in from the side. Maybe. Decided how I want to do that. I could glue it all down first and then just screw it from the back and it'd be fine. But I think I want to keep it from moving around as I'm putting it in. So I'm just going to drive something in from the sides, just kind of keep it in place. But I don't want to interfere with screws and stuff that are coming in from the back side because it'll be screwed. So if you screw through a nail or something, that could be detrimental. So let me come up with something. Okay, since I have a little brad nailer, I'm going to shoot a little 1.5-inch brad. I'm going to secure these to the table and then shoot a brad into them, just to hold them in place until we get them mounted to the board. And you can do the same thing with a hammer. Use a 1/2 inch and 5/8 nail. Just something not too much. All right, let me get this secured and nailed up. Okay, got the first one secured. Now we'll do the other ones. Make it all one. Alrighty, our pieces tacked together. This will go over that. As you can see, that'll be screwed to the base. This will go on top of this. Our filter material will lay inside of here. This will be on the back side. Now we gotta cut some of this goodies to go down flat, so we'll have a something to hold our filter in place. Let me work on that. All right, we got our gutter strainer all flattened out, and it's on the back side of our filter holder. You see, it just fits barely. I'm thinking about insetting this a little bit, pull out the old router and route out just about a little bit of this all the way around, so that when I staple this in, I can staple it to this part instead of the back of the unit, and it'll be inset. And I won't have to seal around it. Let's do that. me measure, and that way we can staple it directly to this, and it'll be inset into the piece itself. All right, let me work on that. Okay, so we use a little compass to make a little 1/2 inch mark all the way around where we want to attach our filter material holder. And now you could use a chisel. All you need to do is to kind of go down the thickness of this. It's not very thick at all. But since I have a router, I'm thinking of using it. Let me see how the routing goes. I'll get back to you. Alrighty, all rough routed out. Yeah, don't be a hater. If I'd have had a bench to mount this thing to, it might have been better, but freehanding, it's the best I could do. So don't be a hater now, but you can do the same thing with a chisel. You just gotta chisel your line in, and then go back and chip it out. Same thing, but this was quicker for me. Now we can mount this down inside of there. Give me a second to get that done, and I'll get it cut and get it stapled. Okay, all stapled in place. Now we have a place for the filter to go into, and then the vent will go over top of that. What more can a man ask for? Pretty good. Now we got to get it glued and screwed to the back, and let me clean up some. Be right back. Alrighty, got it glued in place now. We will let it glue up. Then we'll screw it from the back once the glue dries, so that it won't move around. And clean up some of this glue. All right, looking good, looking good. So let's give that some time to glue up. All right, so we've allowed it 24 hours to set and dry under pressure. Now we're going to shoot some screws on the back side. But before that, we're going to do some measuring from each corner and transfer that to the back side, so that we won't, so that we'll get the screws in the correct place. And get this screwed down. And on the back side, we're also going to put this on. You can see that it's not a perfect match for the screw holes. So we're going to drill some holes, because I want to come into the wood itself, because this is going to take a lot of pressure from the tube and stuff. So, and I might even cut this down a little bit more too. I might just have it stick out, you know. I might have to cut this off a little bit, so. But this is going to go in the back, so we're going to drill some screw holes here. Kind of hate to do it in the middle, because that's where the grill actually attaches. Kind of on the edge there, which, well, that'll miss. And I do think I want to move some of these fins around. I know it'll ugly it up a little bit, but I think I'm going to bend some of these. Because right now it's either sucking air in from the top, or if you turn it around, you're sucking air in from the bottom. And if I bend these up and out, I can do like a few of these to suck in fumes and stuff from the top a little bit easier. Not that it will matter, but it's just my train of thought there. So let me do some measuring and screw this in into the back side now. All right, so I took my measurements. Got a square corner first. Put this on here, draw a outline. Then I use the compass to kind of make a 1/2 inch line all the way around. That way I drill into the 1/2 inch line, since these are 1 inch. The Give myself, as long as I stay in that 1/2 inch, I should be okay. So let me do some drilling and some screwing, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so we got all our screws in. Turned out really nice. Now we're going to drill some holes, and hopefully we're going to hit the right stuff here. This is going to be tricky, but the tricky part, drilling the holes for these, is going to be the tricky part. So let me work on that. Okay. Used a little peen so that we wouldn't get drill bit run all over the place when we're drilling. Drill these holes. Okay, so we took the adhesive backing off the back, placed it, pre-drilled some holes, and then screwed it in. That should be pretty darn strong. And that's the goal. And like I said, eventually I might just cut this, according on how much it sticks out the back. Don't really, this would be kind of nice to leave in place because of winter time, just to kind of hold cold air from blowing in. But, all right. That's the back. Back of the airbrush booth. All complete. Alrighty. So now we have to cut some walls. And what's nice is we'll have a nice structure to attach the sidewalls to. And then once we get the sidewalls put on, we'll extend some out the front, the top, so that the lid has something strong to attach to too. And I'm thinking about putting a fascia board to kind of not be blinded by LED lights hanging down from the top of the airbrush booth, just to kind of, I gotta see what I got in stock, see what I got. I don't know, but you can see how much room we have here in the back. So that's almost 2 inches, but in reality it's almost 3. So you can actually cut that off. That way when they put the elbow on, there's going to be an elbow coming off of here to attach everything else to. So, all right, let's work on some sidewalls. Alrighty, we have our back piece mounted onto the airbrush booth floor. See, I used 4 screws, but I glued and screwed. So yeah, it's going to be overkill. Clean up the glue a little bit with some wet goodies. Yeah, I have to tell you, this thing ain't going nowhere. So when I attach the walls to it, I'll glue them too. Plus that'll help seal out the air at the same time, right? Put that glue in there, you won't have air being traveled, you know, it'll go out here. All right, we're getting there, we're getting kind of hectic. So let me clean up some more glue and start working on a side piece, which the sides will go from here to here. Now you could always put a trim board in the front, have it come up a little bit, like a little lip. That way when you drop in your Olaf mat, or even a piece of plexiglass, or Lexan, which is you know, a little more resistant to lacquers and goodies. You could just drop it right in there, set a height. You could even do the Olaf mat and the piece of Lexan on top of that. And then just have this come out a little bit farther. Same thing on the top. Well, you have a little fascia up top here. All right, you gotta love these hand movements. Yes, this is the way we articulate what we're trying to say. Except for that finger there, hey. Okay, so this is it so far. So let me cut some sides, We're getting there. We're getting there. Let me clean up some more of this glue, though. I think I pretty much got it all. All right, be right back. Okay, we have our cut lines laid out for our side panel. Got 2 of these to cut. I'm just using a old cheapo Black & Decker circular saw with a good blade, mind you. But you can use a jigsaw or anything you want, handsaw. I got it, so I'm going to use it. So, and probably a circular saw makes a better straight line cut than a jigsaw. Jigsaw's, you know, even though you keep it straight, not the straightest thing in the world. But all right, let me cut these 2 side panels out, and then we'll start attaching them. Okay, first side is cut. Let me whip out the next one. And yeah, anytime you're cutting MDF on the inside, you should probably have a mask on, because that's just the way it should be. As you can see, we're at our 20-inch height. And we'll have a little pocket in the back by the time, and the top will fit on top of this. So let's keep going. Okay, so we have our first side all screwed up. Literally. Now, on some of these areas I wanted extra strength, so I used some 3-inch all-purpose wood screws. And just to screw every once, and then I glued everything up on the side. So now we're flush for a top. We'll get the other side on, and then we'll mount these like this and put the top on, so that it'll have structure, because it's just what we do. Tough old bird. All right, let me get this other side put on. Okay, so as you can see, we got both side walls on, back's all in place, vents all installed. We're ready to stick the top on. So I kind of stuck the top on here just to kind of see. Here's a kind of a critical moment. Now my bench is 38 inches tall, and I'm going to be sitting on a stool to airbrush. So I have this option now while I'm building it, right, to make this shorter and to angle this so that if I wanted to stand up, because if I'm standing up, there ain't shit you can see in there, right? I mean, this is the way it's going to be. If you're close, this is what you're going to be looking at. So that really ain't good. Plus, I'm going to be mounting an air control on the side. So I think what I'm going to do, I was going to make it like this, just a perfect box square, and then mount the air thing on the side here. But I think instead of doing that, I'm going to make shorter so that if I want to stand up, I'll be able to look into. That way, if I'm doing big bodies or something like that, you know, I can at least move these things around. Or if a model's in here, which there's plenty of room for 1/8 scale model, but right? This thing's huge, even at size. Even at 22.5 inches tall, 25 inches wide, and 22 inches deep, this thing's huge. Plus I left a couple inches in the back for mounting all my wiring and stuff, right? So I think I'm going to build a smaller ceiling, angle that, so that if I want to stand up, I can do that. Otherwise, if you build a box, you're stuck in this position all the time. You're always going to be looking inside at a perfect height, and if you're chairing height, then see, you ain't got no room for, you ain't got no room for adjustment for yourself. So I think I'm going to angle these, make this a little shorter. I'm going to check my lights that I'm going to mount up here and see just how much room I need. Yeah, I think about right there would work, probably about halfway. and then angle the sides, and then I'll have to come up with something unique to mount my airflow to the side, but I want it mounted to the side or the inside one so that I can control air pressure. Might even mount it to the back. That would be a good ideal. We just turn the knob, see my air pressure here, boom, have the, you know, I think that's another good option. So let me play around here. Let's see where we end up at. Alrighty, we have our top structure in place. I didn't glue any of this top. I did the back. I only put one screw in the back, but it's going to be screwed from the top again too. Got my top laid out. Getting ready to saw that all up. And once we get the top in place, I will angle all of this. I don't know if I should or not, but I think it will. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know yet. Still thinking on that. Might just leave it open. My big thing is to want to be able to see down on top of stuff if I'm standing up. This might go and it might not. All right, let me get this cut. Alrighty, we are back. The top is drilled, glued, and screwed. So, yeah, this thing's a beast. I'm going to be mounting the air thing on the side here. I'm not too sure if I want to take this corner off or just leave it as it is, because this is my main goal, was to just to make a, so I could stand up and still see in here. So I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Let me think about that for a second. Okay, I think I'll end it there. Construction's all done. You'll have to tune into part 2 to see how it's outfitted, but went together fairly well. Nice big space. You can see down in there really nice. Got our back wall inset. Alrighty. So tune in the next one, part 2, and we'll cover filter. Might even paint the darn thing. Definitely mount all the hardware that I'm going to be using in it. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in. See you in part 2.